I'm glad that many interested people have shown up here in great numbers, and I welcome you all to hear two talks by two very charming young ladies who are with us this afternoon. They're not here only this afternoon, but they have been here for quite some time before we opened this talk, before we were preparing for convention this year. It's been a long time. It's been hazardous information that had to be collected, because you can be taken wrongly. You can be mistaken in old Indian art history. So we skipped the very old part and decided to just stay with the 20th century, which is old enough. Not many people have seen or heard anything in their own lifetime of the 20th century. You may have heard, however, that we are preparing to bring back again from forgotten ages the fine artwork that people created for us to remember how it all started. It was by the end of the 19th century that the Theosophical Society was founded. Early on already we knew that we wouldn't be able to do anything without remembering and collecting and creating works of art for our purpose. Because as HPB said in her writings repeatedly, the garment of truth, that is nothing but beauty. So beauty, let that be first on your mind. You may not understand everything that is being depicted in our exhibitions, but beauty speaks to us not worried about words, but directly from the work of the authors. You call them the painters. Some of us have read their books. Some of us have taken deep dives into other museums' contexts, where they left paintings, where they left books, illustrated books, that is. And then came the decisive interruption for the preparations when early in 2025 we had one of these painters come here to Adyar. He didn't come alone. Well, people might argue that, but why I said he didn't come alone is because he brought a very important painting of his here. He had finished it in Adyar, and he brought us the messenger. Not only that, he gave several talks during the 3 days he was here, and he said, this should be the Blavatsky Museum. The name of this place should be Blavatsky Museum. Yes, you have heard me right. And I have a present for you to celebrate the occasion when you open it. So we still have that painting, but we are not talking about this one, because this was not the first painting that arrived here. There were earlier paintings, but we couldn't exhibit them. So they were just collected, occasionally shown, but the collection remained. Not complete, mind you. That is part of our objective. We want to know where are the ones that we know about, Where are the paintings that we know people have seen? We know the names, but unfortunately, we don't have them. So we have two young ladies helping to do exactly that. We have found quite a few paintings from the 1920s, some of them even from the 1910s probably, that show us a little insight into what we have missed for such a long time now. At the time, the beginning of the 20th century, there were very much emotions, motions even, to show what could be done by going away from traditional painting. Adyar was one of the centers of that movement. We had in Madras, the Madras Academy of Art. One of the, little later, heads of the Madras Academy of Art is one of the artists whose work we preserve here. We can do a lot of things, but we focused at this time to give you a good, very good insight into what was produced and what was preserved. The persons who have done that, to our right, have done a great deal of work to avoid mistakes. They have worked together to bring back the old beauty that we have never seen with our eyes before. But now that period is over. Beauty has been restored to make a fresh beginning. We hope that you will be inspired, because we certainly are inspired and looking forward to what we will see in good time. I shouldn't talk too much about these things, but I want to introduce you to Elif Kamisli on the right-hand side and Madam Anupama on the left-hand side. They worked together a great deal. One may not be complete without the others, so we like to see them together. And they have been very successful at this job. We can't but stop talking about that now. Let us hear Elif talk about what she did in order to see the first show out of this revival of early paintings from the 20th century here in the ancient walls and halls of Adyar. I hope what I experienced will be your experience, and you will carry it along with you here and there, wherever you go. If somebody asks you, yes, you can see it, please, let's welcome Elif Kamisli.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Bernd. Dear delegates, I would like to thank you all for joining us this afternoon. The past few days have been filled with reflective and inspirational talks and events. So I wholeheartedly thank all the speakers and also the organizational committee for including our session in this program. Today, Anupama and I are excited to share some thoughts and updates about the arts projects with you. The Theosophical Society's Art Conservation Center was established in September 2023 here in Adyar. During last year's convention, we displayed a selection of paintings by Florence Adyar. Fuller was an eminent Australian portrait painter and a resident artist in Adyar in early 1900s. In fact, her studio, where she painted portraits of theosophical leaders, was located right behind us. This year, we are delighted to welcome you to our second exhibition, The Divine Hidden in Daily Life, presenting a selection of modern Indian art paintings from our collection. Many of you may have already seen it, but if you would like to visit again, we would be pleased to host you in our center located in the headquarters building. In our project, while we are restoring the artworks, we also research the history of art in the society. During my talk, you will see some images on the screen depicting the individuals who contributed to this story. These are showing the members of the society, leading thinkers of the time, and artists who all nourished the birth of a new artistic movement in India that explored the traditional themes in different styles. I think looking at them and remembering their times is significant, and it emphasizes that our efforts today are a continuation of a rich history. In that sense, I believe sharing is a fundamental aspect of our work. So each dialogue we initiate opens up new horizons. When we discuss intuition, as it was already mentioned in Shikar's presentation a few days ago, or the beauty expressed through emotions, colors, and forms, we begin to unveil connections that may have been dormant. These are connections to our higher selves, the divine energy, and to one another, transcending the differences of language and culture that we carry in this lifetime. This is the profound power of art. It stands as an evidence of a timeless presence. 2 days ago, Kristin Ödlund gave us a historical perspective and discussed the influence of theosophy on Western artists in her talk. Prominent figures like Hilma af Klint, Kandinsky, Mondrian, among many others, they had close connections to the theosophy. This link was ignored for such a long time, but there is a growing interest in the relationship between art and spirituality within the context of Western art. Last year, Tate Modern in London, one of the world's leading art institutions, opened an exhibition showcasing the works of af Klint and Mondrian within this framework. This year, they are organizing the first major exhibition of the female painter Aitel Kohun, a surrealist and occultist who lived between 1906 and 1988. And Jennifer Hidges' publication from 2023, The Other Side, A Journey into Woman, Art, and the Spirit World, has also been a significant contribution to this field. Indeed, the society was highly influential in artistic activities at a global scale in the first part of the 20th century. Annual reports highlight exhibitions, events, and fellowships organized by various lodges worldwide. It is really impressive to go through all these activities. But the exhibition at Surendra Narayan Archive, beautifully curated by Geeta and Jeshri, shows us the base of this vivid artistic environment. Through the drawings and text presented, we see that art was an inseparable part of HPB's thought process. Her writings, musical talents, and drawing skills enriched her expression. And as one of the founding members of the Theosophical Society, as one of the founders of the society, she stated in 1897 that the Theosophist magazine was dedicated to art alongside other subjects, signifying the core placement of art in the nature of this movement. Of course, HPB's artistic engagement continued to resonate in the years that followed. In this context, let's focus on the events in Adyar, the international headquarters, which in the early 1900s served as a safe haven for the growth of ideas with its cosmopolitan nature. New India newspaper, the Theosophist magazine, and the general reports are valuable resources for providing an overview of the activities taking place in the headquarters during this period. As mentioned earlier, Florence Adafuller was here between 1909, and 1911. In the General Report of 1912, Enibesan reported the beginning of a museum in the headquarters building. Then Arts League was inaugurated at the Old Court Bungalow in 1915. Directed by James H. Cousins, the organization hosted a rich monthly program that brought together Western and Eastern art through performances, events, and also they facilitated exhibitions. Following its opening, Jinaraja Dasa reported to New India stating, "To us, a concert or a picture gallery or the reading of poems has become like a meditation where we commune with the one spirit of life." During that period, Cousins was invited to Calcutta to visit an exhibition organized by the Indian Society of Oriental Art, an art society funded by Tagore brothers in 1907. This show marked his first encounter with modern Indian art, of which he became a great supporter and promoter in the following years, both locally and globally. Following his visit to Calcutta, he shared his impressions of this emerging art movement with Enibesan, who then decided to sponsor the exhibition's travel to Adyar. As a result, in 1916, the first modern Indian art show was held in South India. Subsequently, Cousins developed a close friendship with Rabindranath Tagore, the founder of Shantiniketan, which introduced a new educational model free from the colonial gaze. Dr. Shirshendu Majumdar's book, based on letters exchanged between Cousins and Tagore, highlights their shared views on educational approach, their connection with rural life, and their mutual support in fostering a movement that celebrated the rich Indian culture. Tagore also visited Adyar and stayed here in our campus in 1919, 1922, and 1934. We learned from the writings of James H. Cousins that wherever he toured, he carried a suitcase full of paintings. So while he was setting up pop-up exhibitions, he also gave lectures about modern Indian art. And they were traveling quite extensively from Asia to Europe to Americas in a time that traveling was not that easy. So from this perspective, I found really astonishing their ability to make things happen. The support James H. Cousins and Enibesan extended to modern Indian art was closely tied to the Indian independence struggle of that period. The Bengal School of Art, established in Shantiniketan, was intricately linked to the nationalist movement on various levels. The Home Rule movement, initiated by Enibesan, played a significant role in this struggle. Rukmini Devi, an exceptional dancer, choreographer, and founder of Kalakshetra, an arts and cultural academy devoted to preserving traditional Indian arts and crafts, wrote the following in the Enibesan Centenary Book in 1947. Besant was greatly interested in the birth of the Bengal School of Painting and encouraged exhibitions of Indian paintings everywhere and gave support to all who worked for this cause. Her tribute in this cause went chiefly to James H. Cousins. She used to say that the revival of Indian art is one of the great things of the future. In the following decades, other members of the society continued to have close connections with the artists of their times. For example, G. Venkatachalam. He wrote extensively about art, largely based on his personal connections with the artist. And Fred Harvey, who collected art and exhibited the works. Additionally, George Arundele, Jinaraja Dasa, and Rukmini Devi continued to emphasize the importance of arts and beauty for theosophy. The remarkable fact here that the support of Theosophical Society towards the members of this new artistic movement, which spread all over India, came in a moment while it was still establishing. Sculptures were commissioned to Madras School of Arts, a newly graduate of the school was employed as an art teacher in the Adyar school, and their works were exhibited on various occasions. This reminds me Hilma af Klein's situation. When no one was interested in her work, TC organized an exhibition of her paintings together with other spiritualist artists in 1913. In this sense, modern Indian art played multiple roles. It supported a national awakening, and from a theosophical perspective, it revealed the divine hidden in daily life. Besant's Kamala lectures, delivered at the Calcutta University in 1925, explain her approach from this perspective. Art is an attempt to bring down within the vision of ordinary mortals some of the divine beauty of which the artist catches glimpses. He strives to translate this into colors, sounds, forms, words by creating pictures, melodies, sculptures, poems, and other literature. The selection of paintings in this year's exhibition offers a glimpse into the Theosophical Society's devoted support of Indian art. I hope this brief walkthrough of the history of the Theosophical Society has helped frame the context of our current work. This connection, rooted in the Adyar campus, is before and beyond us. As I conclude my work, I would like to share the story behind the two images that you will see very soon, I think after this one. Yes. During my first visit to Adyar, I meditated beneath the great banyan tree. After a long time, I opened my eyes with tears and perceived the tree as a brain holding the memories. Its branches appeared like neurons, and their connection to the ground resembled synapses through which information flowed. It felt as though my brain, just probably over than a kilogram in weight, was expanding in front of me, filled with long forgotten recollections. Since that moment, whenever I see this magnetic tree, I remember the neuron drawings by Santiago Ramon y Cajal, who was awarded the Nobel Prize in 1906 for his groundbreaking work. You can see them on the left. His drawings were presented in the 14th Istanbul Biennial titled Saltwater, A Theory of Thought Forms, curated by Caroline Christoph Bakardziev in 2015. And I worked there as the exhibition manager and research curator of the exhibition. Over time, I began to sense that the great banyan tree could actually represent a physical manifestation of the Akashic records, if such a thing were possible. So it stands as a remarkable resource, a symbol of the countless souls who have passed through here, and the guardian of the future of possibilities. So, thank you very much.
You may have perceived a sense of awe every now and then, listening to the words that we all heard. We didn't come here for the words, really. You did see some paintings, yes. But these paintings are shown in a way that are abstract when they are photographs. You don't get the blood, you don't get the pressure immediately when you see a photograph. So in order to do something about that, to bridge the gap that is necessary for presence, for enjoyment, for truth, you might say, it is necessary to do some work. That work can't be done by somebody who likes art, just like that. No, more is necessary. You need experience, yes, and that is not easy to get. Experience means a lot of strange things might happen. A lot of unwelcome things might happen, but that goes away after a while. You get the training, you get the eye, and you get the friendship of the people who you walked with. Listen now to Anupama. She has that. What you see here after our efforts over the year now wouldn't have been possible except through her collaboration with Elif, who you heard just now. Anupama was instrumental of seeing the defects, and the defects are not just on the canvas. They're not just on the frames. No, they also concern our perception of what was and what will have to be for a lasting enjoyment, for a lasting understanding, and for a continuation of our efforts to make beauty last. What do we know about beauty? I don't know how to tell you. Some people may know, but I can tell you that we are very, very happy that Madam Anupama came here repeatedly to help us get a better understanding of what was knocking at our doors, of what was necessary for us to do, and not just the activities of the case when a picture had been torn out of context, when we had to restore it somehow. That is, of course, there, but you can't do things like that, and we didn't want to do that in an abstract way, but in a companionship. We had to listen to each other, because nobody can tell you the final solution of what to do with a work of art that is ancient just by looking at it singularly. No, you have to listen. You have to read up. Madam Anupama has done that. She has listened to very good teachers, from what I can say. When she heard a hint of a quote in a book, in our documentation that we were lucky enough to preserve over here in our museum, yes, she knew what we are talking about. And she applied it, and she inspired her co-workers, whom she sent here one after the next, to work accordingly, to preserve what we have, to make the best possible, to apply it to our paintings. Some of them may look a little strange, but don't be mistaken. Strangeness implies a distance, and you can bridge that distance. Maybe not by yourself, but with the help of others, you have a very good chance. And we made very good use of Madam Anupama's work, of her knowledge, and, I should not forget that, of her friendship with Elif. Please listen to her now. Maybe you can profit some from what she has to tell us from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernd. Good afternoon. Wish you all a very happy new year. Yesterday, Bernd asked me what I'm going to talk about my presentation. And I was like, work and achievements of last year. And he was like, are you also going to touch the emotional aspect of it? And I was like, it was a very strange question to me, because I'm a very practical person. I was like, no, it's all practical work. But it made me thinking, and I started thinking about it. And I realized we would not have been able to achieve so much if we were not emotionally invested in this project, especially Elif. So I would also like to talk about how I feel when I'm here in Adyar. I often find myself wishing for a time machine. I wish I could go back in time when this place was home to personalities like Annie Besant, Krishnamurti, or when Rabindranath Tagore used to visit and stay in Blavatsky bungalow. I wish I could just sneak in with my, travel back in time, not born back in time, but travel back in time. And I could just sneak in, hide behind a pillar, and listen to their conversations. I think that's the best way to get authentic information about your past. Unfortunately, time travel is not possible yet. So one has to take a more traditional approach to visit the past, and that is through our museums, archives, and libraries. And we are lucky, very lucky in fact, because the era I'm fascinated with, and the era we are talking about, the early 20th century, is so well documented in TS history. Not only in TS history, but otherwise also. As you all know, that Elif is doing this research on the origin of our paintings, and she keeps sharing things with, she keeps sharing her findings with me. And recently she shared this with me. These are the lines from Dr. G.S. Arundale address, which was published in 1934 General Report. And this few lines tells us so much about our museum. A, it's not Blavatsky Blavatsky Museum, it's Blavatsky Memorial Museum of Arts. That's the full name of our museum. In his address, Dr. Arundale, he speaks about the incident when Rorik came to the museum, not the museum, to the campus. He also speaks about what he said. So this made me interested, and I started going through the other general reports, and whatever I could gather, whatever information I could gather, I would like to share it with you. So in my understanding, the idea of museum, I think, was conceived in 1925 when Rorik presented the Messenger painting to the museum. He referred to the museum, and it was the future museum. The physical space was not yet there. He referred to the museum as home of light, and he also gave it its motto. That is, beauty is the garment of truth. In 1931, and this is documented in 1931 General Report, the physical form of the museum finally found its place in headquarters building. Am I audible to everyone? Yeah. Finally found its place in headquarters building, and this was, it was inaugurated during the HPP's centenary celebrations. And in 1934, this was almost 90 years back, Dr. G.S. Arundale spoke about all this. He referred to the museum as Blavatsky Memorial Museum of Arts. He agreed to the motto that Rorik gave. And he also, this is my favorite part, he also spoke about the importance of ensuring the necessary upkeep and care of the objects. So I don't think I fully grasped the meaning of the motto, beauty is the garment of truth, and I think Mr. Boyd can help us with it. But in my humble understanding, I think the place was conceived as the museum was conceived as a place of learning and inquiry. It was remarkably progressive for its time. And I think the collection was built slowly, gradually through gifts and donations by its supporters and members, and included some of the most celebrated artists of its time. I was very excited to see this sculpture in the collection, which is by Richmond Bath, and I was even more thrilled to find this picture when the artist is working on our sculpture in his studio. And this is well documented. The whole inauguration process is well documented in the American Theosophist of 1942. There's a detail about how it was inaugurated and why, the purpose of the acquisition and the title and its theme. And then we have Annie Besant sculpture by Dr. D.P. Roy Chaudhary. D.P. Roy Chaudhary was one of the most celebrated artists of his time. He was awarded with third highest civilian honor, Padma Bhushan, by Government of India in 1968. He also served as a principal of Madras School of Art from 1939 to 1957. We also have this painting by artist K. Srinivasulu. K. Srinivasulu he's an important Madras school artist. He lived in Adyar all his life. He was teaching in Besant school in his 40s, and he was the head of the department of Kalakshetra, the art department, in his later years. And I took these lines from an article, a 1966 article, where the article speaks about the effect of the cultural atmosphere of Adyar on Srinivasulu's work. So you would find many such important artworks in our museum, which indicates that Theosophical Society at one point was an important patron of art. This was during early 20th century and mid 20th century, but slowly with time, this connection with art started to fade, and most significant part of its collection remained confined in trunks and behind the doors, including the messenger. So we are, as Dr. Arundale said, we are grateful for such collection, and it is our duty to ensure the preservation of it for future generation. As you all know, we have this collection, but the collections cannot look after themselves. They need to be cared for, and for that we need, and it's not a one-person job. You need a well-trained team and many discussions to come up with a collection management plan which is right for your collection, because every collection is unique. And this is why I really like this picture, because here Mr. Boyd, the highest in position in here, is speaking very candidly to young team members, and it is through this teamwork only we can come up with great results. So these are the 4 important aspects of collection management, that is documentation and records, collection care and conservation, storage, access and use, and they don't have to be followed in same order, and it completely depends on your collection, what kind of paintings you have. Okay, you can see that red room. This is a rough layout of the conservation center. It's not an exact layout, but just to give you an idea about how we planned our work. So we were more concerned about the conservation of the artworks that were stored in this red-colored AC room. We call it AC room because there were 2 ACs installed with good intention, and they used to run 24/7, but unfortunately the relative humidity was not controlled. As you can see, it is very close to the Adyar river, so there was a lot of water seepage. And in the absence of climate control measures and fluctuating relative humidity, the air conditioning was causing more problems than it solved. So the paintings were infested with fungus and other biological agents. So the first thing we did was to isolate the artworks. We started taking the artworks from the AC room to the riverside room, which is a very well-ventilated space. We started photographing them, doing the condition reports, and started getting rid of the fungus and other biological agents. And finally, we moved them to the quarantine room. I don't think after our COVID experience, I need to explain what a quarantine room and isolation means. We didn't want the fungus and the insects to spread to the conservation lab. That's the conservation lab. So we were very clear that unless we are free of fungus, we are not going to move the artworks to the conservation lab. So once we cleaned the fungus, we moved them to quarantine room so that we can keep a check on remaining, if there are any remaining fungus spores and all. So and then it was decided that we'll slowly started taking out the artworks from the quarantine room to conservation lab. We'll restore them and then finally take them to a new storage space. Okay. So these are the two conservation rooms where we do the conservation treatments. That's the quarantine room. I'm very happy to say that we are free of fungus and other biological agents. And this room is being used as temporary storage room now. That's the photography room. This is the new storage room, which is well equipped with HVAC system. By HVAC, I mean that earlier it was AC room, only the temperature was controlled. In HVAC, the relative humidity is also controlled. Otherwise, you'll end up getting a lot of condensation on the paintings if the humidity is not controlled. So as you can see, we have managed to conserve a lot of artworks and move them to their final place. And Bernd, I think, is looking happy in this picture. Okay, these are some images to give you a quick glimpse of the conservation process, though I'm also going to show you a video, so I'll expand on this, the process later in the end. So in first two pictures, we are doing the condition, that's the first step. We are doing the condition assessment and preparing a documentation report. In third one, Rajesh is using a vacuum cleaner to clean the dust and dirt from the miniature paintings. In this one, Teja is using a solvent gel tissue method to remove the discolored and aged varnish from a portrait of Blavatsky. In fifth one, Jitendra is doing a retouching of the lost areas. In this last picture, Kayam is preparing a mount for a painting, and Vincent is helping him with it. It's just to give you an idea about different processes of conservation. I'll also show you two videos to give you an idea about the transformation of a painting during conservation process. Can you play it? I am very proud to say that we are almost done with the conservation part on most of the important works that were stored in AC room. And with conservation and storage, the two key aspects of the collection management taken care of and running smoothly, now we've started with the first point that I told, that is cataloging and accessioning. Here you can see now the team is preparing an inventory list of all the objects present in Adyar. So here Teja and Arva are going through all the museum paintings and objects and preparing a list. They have been going through each and every cupboard, drawer, trunk, box that they find in the campus, and trying to prepare so that we know we are not going wrong with the list, and we are also tallying it with the old records so that we have the correct number of artworks present in our inventory list. So from the very beginning, we were very sure that this collection management and maintenance of an art collection is a continuous process. It's not like that we've done it for a year and then it's sorted. It is a continuous process, and we were aware from the beginning that unless we establish an in-house team, the system it's not going to work. It has to be self-sufficient. It is also important to keep everyone aware about the process, all the stakeholders, not only the team, but other people involved. So the workshops and presentations have been very important part of our project. In this one, Arva is writing the accession number on a stretcher. It's a dummy object. This is an image from a workshop that we conducted on accessioning. Here, Arva and Bernd. Bernd is talking about FileMaker Pro that he's been working for last many years. He's trying to catalog all the works present in the museum through using a FileMaker Pro system. In the picture above, Arva had given a presentation about whatever she learned in last couple of months. Okay, over the last 1 year, we've been very lucky to have a lot of experts and consultants coming, and there's something about this space, I think this place, that it inspires people to help us. We've had so many people coming forward to help us. Deepthi, in the first picture, you can see Deepthi Shashidharan. She's a museum expert, and on one phone call, she just traveled from Bangalore to Chennai, and she helped clearing our doubts about insurance and accessioning. In this one, you can see Jimmy, Jamshed Qureshi. He's a fashion photographer from a completely opposite world, but he came happily to the campus to help us setting up the photography studio. In this one, you can see Gopi. And Gopi, he conducted an excellent, I'm sure you all know Gopi. He conducted an excellent workshop on photography for us. And he's always a phone call away. If we have any problems with our tripod, camera, he's always available. And I'm very thankful to all these people. And now we also have Dr. Usha Bhatia from Panchkula, who's helping us with our painting, understanding our miniature painting collection. I think, yeah, in the end, there's a small movie. It's a 5 minutes movie that our youngest team member, Brijesh, has prepared. It's just to give you an idea about the whole process, whatever we were able to achieve in last 1 year. It's not there. Can you stop it? Thank you.
Well, I think many of you will agree with when I say words don't suffice. We have to see it. We have to get close to it. We have to open our eyes. So let's keep on doing this. We have gotten a few hints from people who know and still know what they're talking about. Don't forget it. Carry it on you. When you encounter art, don't waste your time not understanding it. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for coming here. We enjoyed your presence. May it last. Good afternoon.